Is it 50 miles?
Yeah,
Okay. And then I think I get second place only because he has to drive 20 miles further than me, but we're both coming from Lapine. So I get to stop at Bend. He has to go to Sisters. Um,
my girlfriend and I have been looking for apartments closer to my office. So fingers crossed, I'll have something closer soon.
okay, very good. Well, if you ever want a carpool, let me know. But I don't usually go out to Sisters. So, all right, how was your weekend? You want to share?
Uh, yeah, I finally did the deep clean on my office that really needed done. There was still some dog hair and dust and whatnot. Reorganized a bit, so.
Okay, very good.
It was pretty neat. I got to see how a claims event happens afterwards when it's all said and done with Eric. So got to mingle and run into a couple of people and using that Canopy Connect, which is a huge lifesaver.
Well, Jimmy, let's unpack that after, like towards the end of our meeting. I want to ask you, your experience with that.
Okay.
Anyone else that has experience with Canopy Connect? But yeah, what Jimmy's referring to is we did, Eric Jansen had, a big restaurant in Bend that's pretty famous, El Sancho. Last year burnt to the ground. It was like I asked him last night, I was like, what caused the fire, ultimately? And they said it was kind of like an antique cooking element. I don't know. So something like that. Anyway, the restaurant burnt to the ground and it's next to an auto dealership, a Ford dealership, and I think 4 of the cars were ruined. I mean, because of the heat and all that. So anyway, so yeah, we got to witness Country rebuilding that restaurant. We sunk a little over $2 million into that claim. But then it was the grand reopening last night from like 4 to 9 or so. So I was there. We invited all the Bend area agents to come participate as well. So Tim Harris and his wife and son were there, and Jimmy showed up and his kids, and so it was neat to see. I didn't see it before, but from what I hear, it was pretty. It looks much better now than it did before. So yeah, it's a hopping place, man. There was a ton of people there when I left. That was around 6:30 or so, something like that. But anyway, all right. So welcome to our first, and it's called Cascades EC Agent Weekly Success Roundtable. It's really geared towards Enhanced Commission, those that are, your first 4 years and all of that. But Nancy's already rolled off onto the tenured contract, but you're still here participating because we want to just show support for those that are newer in kind of their tenure with Country. And I'm just coming in saying, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to make sure you go through this process. I want to make sure you have fellow agents that you can lean on, that we can share what's working, that we can kind of, this is almost like a little bit of an accountability as well. If you don't already have a group like that, then make this that group. I hope that you find value. I never want to take an hour of your time without there being something valuable that you take away. So, and this is a place where you can also share, to a point, right, professionally, frustrations that you're going through, that you can say, hey, I need some help. As long as it's geared towards finding a solution, then I'm all for it. Well, let's work through this, but if it's just, the company, the rate, like all of those things that we can't control, we can't fix, then let's keep that for maybe a one-on-one with me. But let's make sure this is a positive, and I don't doubt, like, I don't even know why I'm saying that to you guys, because you're all positive people. So let's start it out with that. But I always start out with, because this is the first one, let's go around and do an intro. All right. And I just want to make sure everyone knows everyone else on the call, and like where your office is and how long you've been with Country. And then let's say Um, what is your most favorite experience so far? That you realize, gosh, this was a great move, a career move for me. All right. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but, so let's go around. Jimmy, you're on my, like, right next to me on my
Okay.
camera. So you're first.
Perfect. Well, one of the things that I do like about country so far is just all the training, but it's just like information overload, trying to remember where and all those parts and pieces to come into. It's a it's a huge ordeal. But it's great to have resources. You, Jeremy, like other people that I'm connecting within the agency, they've been very welcoming, even Allison. I'm getting everybody's names and then even trying to do some co-op with Jeremy and Fabian for some other resources and just kind of an open gathering information. So it's a more of a team atmosphere as opposed to like when I had my gym, it was only me and I didn't have anybody to go out to. But here I have people above me at the same level of me, and I think I'm at the bottom level of everybody right now. So I've been
You start and where you located.
so I just started, this is my first month. I'm in Bend, still currently looking at some office. I'm actually working out of Chris Shocker's office because of Monica and America helping me understand the servicing side. That is challenging for me because I've never experienced that. So it's just a matter of getting the right information, knowing how to not spend so much time servicing because then that misses out on the opportunity of getting out there. But that's also part of the trade, I guess. That's a new learning curve. So
Cool. Well,
Yep.
welcome.
thank you.
All right, we'll give Devin a minute. He's still muted even though he's next on my screen. Nancy? Oh, wait, hang on. Devin, are you back?
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you there?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm here. I just had it on mute. I'm
Okay.
Devin Banks. I'm located in Southern Oregon, Medford area. My favorite part about being with Country Financial is I was in insurance for a decade as a claims adjuster, and I like being on this end because instead of like investigating and negotiating injury settlements, I'm using my industry knowledge to provide people with coverage and protect what matters most, their homes, their life, their business. And I really enjoyed being on this side of it.
Awesome. So I think you covered everything. Good job.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, Nancy.
So my name is Nancy Shield. I started with Country November 1st of 23. I came from brokerage, well, more of a broker type. I was in personal lines, but I left my book of business because I wanted to still be able to help clients. And at that time, things had really shifted and I was not having carriers open to writing business anymore, as well as non-renewing my clients. And so I left. I walked away from that to come to Country, and that is my favorite part, is that I've had great success in writing high wildfire score areas. I've been able to do some really tough things. Working on a house right now in Prospect, another one in Cave Junction. I love that Country's underwriters will look at every single house on a case-by-case basis. We're not, blanketing an area saying we just don't want to write there. They're still open to looking at each and every one. And so that's what's been the best part, because I feel like I did make the right choice. And I love having my own agency and getting to see all sides of the business, not just selling. I get to actually help my clients with claims and service and all the things. So
Very cool. And where are you located?
oh yeah, sorry. And I'm in Central Point. You guys know where that is. You've been from Bend. Yeah. Southern
Yes.
Oregon, right near Devon, like 5 miles away. So
Very cool. And Nancy, so what's like the, I want to say neighborhood, but office area? What's that called where you're at?
yeah, I'm in a subdivision called Twin Creeks. So it's just more of a housing development, but it also has apartments and 2 retirement homes. So it's such a broad mix of different ages, people from renting homes or owning homes to living in a retirement community. So it's really cool.
It's like a little, her office number one is beautiful. And it's right in the corner, right when you pull in, so everyone sees it, people walk by all the time. And it's like a Norman Rockwell neighborhood. I mean, that's what it's just so cool. So I went in there I was with Nancy last week, and we're like, hey, let's go grab some coffee before we have our session. So we like walked down, crossed the road to this cute little coffee shop, sat outside and chatted for a little bit, and then went back to her office. But it was like, it's like a picture. I mean, it's so cool. Very
And
great experience.
There's a wine bar and there's an ice cream shop. So literally whatever type of day I'm having, like whatever mood, I'm like, I would like ice cream at lunch, or I'm having a rough day, I'm going to the wine bar on Wednesdays. You know, they do wine down Wednesday and they bring a truck and all these people sit outside. So it is great exposure to having my sign up, and I'm going to do my windows hopefully in a week or two and add some country color so people will notice it more.
Well, that's the one thing, you know, as things in these sessions, as things come to mind that I feel are important to share with all of you, like Nancy has put herself in a position, and that this kind of goes with all three of you. Jeremy, you've already invested because you have your office and sisters, but for Devin and Jimmy that don't have their own, you know, Devin's in the agency office in Medford. Jimmy, you're kind of searching, all right, where am I going to go? But Nancy, I admire her for investing in her own office and kind of putting herself in a position as a business owner, right, where you have no other choice but to succeed. You know, you're on the hook for a lease for, you know, multiple years. I mean, all of that. So I love you putting yourself in that position, because now it's like, all right, there's no choice. Like, I got to figure out a way to make this work, and you're doing that. So, I wanted to point that out, because sometimes those are decisions that we as business owners need to make. All right, am I going to play it safe and give myself an out, or am I going to put myself in a position where, you know, it's kind of like my back's against the wall. I have no other choice. You know, Jeremy, you're in the same thing, just walking right in, and I'll let you, so you intro, and then as you're done, I'll finish my thought, because I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, so I'm Jeremy. I took over the Sisters office in Sisters, Oregon. I'm kind of returning to the company because I worked as I guess what you'd call now an associate agent, as like production assistant back then, for my dad, Andy Beeson in La Pine, and a little bit of time for the agency office in Bend, about 6 months up there, but kind of moved around a bit. I'm still in my 20s, so kind of trying to, I keep saying I still want to find out what I want to be when I grow up, but I think I'm finally starting to lay down some roots, and this is looking like it's probably going to be it. So I guess for me, that's the big thing that I like that I've gotten out of country so far, is the financial security that I know that I'll be able to have as long as I work hard at this. So that's kind of the thing. But yeah, out here in beautiful Sisters, Oregon, taking over the area over here. So yeah, for the long haul, got the lease. So gotta make it at least 3 years, right?
Well, and you have, you know, a heritage of, you know, coming from a family that's dedicated, I mean, on all fronts, right? And you've talked a little bit about the experience that you've already had with country.
Yeah, so my dad, it was kind of the job he took to start our family. I think he started when I was 2, and I'm the oldest of 4, with country as an agent. And it was like 2002 is when he started. So I've kind of grew up with the company in the background the whole time there. We always had all the country swag growing up and all the merch and whatnot. But knowing that it's a company that cares about its employees and reps and its clients, so it's not just one of those buy online, do it as fast as you can, you know, kind of companies. It's got the human touch. Like I've been around since the Farm Bureau days, so I kind of know that side of it too. And it definitely has the small town vibe that I like, having grown up in a small town. So
I love that area, Sisters, and I'm so glad that it worked out, that you know, we brought you on as an agent. and you kind of have stepped right in and are already getting familiar with the community and yeah, I mean, you definitely, I mean, you got the look, you have the vibe of sisters. I think it's perfect. I love that. And fun fact that I didn't know, and I forgot who told me last night, we're at the El Sancho celebration, but Will Ferrell lives in Sisters. Did you guys know that? I didn't know that.
See, I didn't know that, and I might have slightly different opinions than everybody else, coming specifically from the fact that I worked at Sun River for about 5 years and used to
Yeah.
come there all the time until Maverick closed down the like indoor pool, rock gym, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And he threw a very public fit about the fact that the Shark, the Sun River Homeowners Association, wouldn't close down for him for the day so that he could rent it out just for himself. And he threw a very public fit about that because Mavericks used to always like to do that. They're like, we're owned by the homeowners. And apparently everybody who ever served him in the restaurants said he was like one of the worst guests they've ever had.
Oh my god.
So I know a little bit of different opinion about Will Ferrell than most people do, because I know a lot of people who knew him and did not like him.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's funny. All right.
He
In
is. Oh,
movies,
he's
let's
not that
let's just yes.
Can't debate
Uh,
that. No.
But other than that, like I don't claim an opinion. I don't claim an
Right,
opinion.
and that's just when he's acting, keep that in mind, maybe
Yeah.
sometimes, but it's not really that funny. He's
Oh
actually.
my
a jerk.
gosh, Jeremy. So, oh, how dare you not let me rent out the whole Shark? I mean, it's like a water park
Yeah, that's
for
right.
homeowners.
The Sun Rivers Homeowners Association
Yeah.
Aquatic Center. That's what it stands. Yeah. No, it's publicly owned.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right. Well, now that we're all familiar with each other, and I just love that. How I start out these meetings. So every week we're going to meet and just I want to hit you right on Monday morning, right when you're starting the week, give you kind of a punch of energy, you know, as well as I can. But the one thing that I would start out with, and this may be something that you guys can invest in, is it's called the Maxwell. I know it's backwards to you guys, but the Maxwell Daily Reader. All right, it's on Amazon. You know, have it shipped to your house, whatever. But it's really the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. All right, and you guys know, just based on the introduction and our meetings together, that I absolutely am passionate about leadership. All right, and this goes for every single one of you. So none of you right now have an assistant. Okay, some are looking, right? Some are like on the hunt, you know, getting ready to invest in that. But all of you learning to even just lead yourself is a high priority, right? What motivates you to do what you do every day? What motivates you to get through the no? What motivates you to you know, have those hard conversations with your clients and all of that? That translates into when you bring on staff, when you bring on a team, how are you going to lead them as well? All right. So I do a little bit of just leadership at the beginning of these meetings, and I have found that this book, so it's daily. So it's not just okay, every Monday we're going to read this. I hope that you read the page that coincides to the date every day that you come in the office, just to give yourself a little bit of, all right, how am I going to apply this to myself? And be ready for when I do have staff. Hey, this is just, we do this, you know, I don't know what your weekly meetings will look like, but this is an idea, right? So today's is, I'm just going to read it. June 30th, Manage Your Energy. This is by John Maxwell. All right, great leadership principles. Some people, it's called Manage Your Energy. Some people have to ration their energy so they don't run out. Up until a few years ago, that wasn't me. When people asked me how I got so much done, my answer was always high energy, low IQ. From the time I was a kid, I was always on the go. Now I have to pay attention to my energy level. In thinking for a change, I shared one of my strategies for managing my energy. When I look at my calendar every morning, I ask myself, what is the main event? That is the one thing to which I cannot afford to give anything less than my best. That one thing can be for my family, my employees, a friend, my publisher, the sponsor of my speaking engagement, or my writing time. I always make sure I have the energy to do it with focus and excellence. Even people with high energy can have that energy sucked right out of them under difficult circumstances. Leaders in the middle of an organization often have to deal with what I call the ABC's energy drain. Activity without direction, doing things that don't seem to matter, burden without action, not being able to do things that really matter, and conflict without resolution, not being able to deal with what's the matter. If you find that you're in an organization where you often must deal with these ABCs, then you will have to work extra hard to manage your energy well. Either that or you need to look for a new place to work. So that's his, that's from the 360-degree leader from one of his books. But examine the ABCs. Where do you need to manage your energy? So I think I'll just share for me. Conflict without resolution. That one really, I can identify immediately that sucks my energy out immediately because I do not like to be in conflict with anyone. All right, I'd rather just get it out there on the table. Let's come to a resolution, whatever that looks like. Here's my side, here's your side. Let's get this and move on. Like that's kind of my conflict resolution. And hey, it's worked. I've been married for almost 34 years. So I think that there's something to that. But I know I'll just share with you, last week, I started out my Monday with a huge conflict. All right. And I found my first few meetings on Monday when I'm on the road traveling, I get a call, a huge conflict within, it was not this agency, it was within my other one that I came from. And my first few meetings, I was just like, I'm not even focused right now, and because I hadn't been able to resolve that conflict. It's still not resolved, but it's something I can't get involved in. I'm not in there anymore, but I definitely see where that has an effect on me. So just sharing a little bit about that. So my encouragement to you is to, think about, am I drained because of activity without direction? Like, how many of you have come into the office, worked a full day, and been like, what did I even do today?
I think
Because of
service work will do that to you, because you still feel like, what did I really even do or accomplish? Even though that is time consuming, but it's kind of a drain. It can be, when you're
reacting. You're constantly reacting to things coming at you, right? Yeah. Burden without action, not being able to do things that really matter. So it's like those, that may be part of it too. I'm so bogged down with service work that I have a burden that I want to, reach out and call my term conversion list. I want to set appointments. I want to do those things. So those are all things that can drain, but it's prioritizing that service work that for somebody who already is a client, right, might be able to, hey, I'm going to table this until 4 p.m. I'll get to that before I leave. But right now my priority is I got to call this term conversion list because these are people that need my help. So that kind of, it's recognizing what gives you energy and making sure that's prioritized.
For me, that was those new rep training things. I'm so glad that's finally over, because that's just there was a lot of beneficial stuff from it, don't get me wrong, but it was a huge time investment, and I'm ready to start actually doing things that I feel like are more productive.
Right. And there you go. Here's your $5,000. Just finished all that. Anyway, so that's my little leadership encouragement for this week. Try and identify those things that give you energy and those things that drain you, and make sure you're prioritizing those things that give you energy. So I know when I was an agent, it was definitely networking gave me energy. I would come back from a BNI meeting or a leads group, and I'd be like, all right, this thing is gonna work, I can do this. So that was just, but anyway, I encourage you to get the book if you want, and it's really good. It's very holistic. It kind of addresses all different sides of what you need to do to be a good leader for the team you will be bringing on in the near future. All right. The other, let's talk about agenda here. our goal, like just for today, is really like, this is a groundwork of what these, I call them a round table, like a success round table, because this isn't me just talking the whole time. Like, I know this first one, it might seem like that, but I'm really introing, hey, this is the experience. This is kind of what we'll do. So the next thing we'll go to is share successes of the week. I know that every single one of you have had, if you look at last week, I want you, let's get some energy off of like what worked last week. What are you seeing that is working in your agency, and what can you attribute that to, just to see if, you know, other people are feeling that too. And, or it may, you know, spark some ideas. So share some successes that you guys are having.
So one thing for me that I was happy to finally get done is I had this big pain in the butt. I had some old AMP conversion clients that never got converted to auto pay, and there were a couple of things with that, so I've been working my way through it. But I had one that was like a big old complicated rewrite with multiple policies and fade and a renter's policy and all that kind of stuff, and finally got it taken care of, got the signatures, got the dust settled. So I don't know, that was the big success for me this week, because it really was just service work, but it was such a complicated nightmare of service work that to finally have that like off my back and I can move forward. That was a big one.
Yeah. I mean, those are, you can, you know, button those up and say, all right, move it. Don't have to deal with those anymore, that kind of thing. But I think that what attributed you to also to be able to be aware of all of that and be organized. And as these things come up to my mind, I'm going to share things that I know about each one of you that I think will benefit the rest of the group, right? So Jeremy, I've spent a fair amount of time with you, right? The first month. And he is an expert in Planner. How many of you guys use Microsoft Planner?
Yeah.
Right, Jeremy, just take a second to talk about Microsoft Planner, and even as like, how does it benefit you? You all have access to that Microsoft app, right? You can download it from, you know, go into search and say Microsoft Planner and it'll be there for you.
Microsoft Planner is huge. I have noticed, and I really got into Planner when I worked for Country previously. I have noticed that some of the new CRM tools within Navigator do seem to replicate a lot of the features of Planner. So there might be value in checking out that system as well, and I'm considering it. The couple of things that make me still gravitate towards Planner, though, is if we do get the new CRM soon, I don't know exactly what would happen to all those notes, how well they transfer over if you used it. And also sometimes just little things that you don't, that are more of like, oh, this is the dude who's stinky, make sure to open the windows if he comes in later, you know, stuff like that. You don't necessarily want the CRM. But Microsoft Planner, what it does that I like is it helps really organize all the tasks throughout the week. So let me see if I can actually get mine pulled up here.
How many of the rest of you, do you use Planner at all? No? All right, this is great.
Yeah.
I love Planner. Love it.
This one, I haven't, actually, I have some stuff I need to populate into this one because I made a new plan that I like the buckets on better, and I haven't pulled everything else out of it yet. So this one's a work in progress. That's why it looks like there's not too much in there at the moment. But everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
So this is Planner. Basically what it does is it allows you to have a running list of, it calls these buckets. And then I think each one of these is a task is what it refers to it as, but you've got buckets, you've got tasks. You can sort through these things. You can have in here, like you can pick what bucket it's inside of. You can have a bunch of these tags, and all of these tags you can set to mean different things, like home quotes. You can do quotes, you can do prospects, you can do underwriting. You can have all this kind of stuff. It's got due dates. When you have due dates and the things are assigned to you, it will show up in your email every day. You're going to get an email into Outlook on what all your tasks are. And it just gives you a really good visualization of what needs currently done. So just stuff on who's working on what, who's waiting on what, all of that kind of thing there. So it's just, I find it to be a really good way to do that. And also, you keep notes. So you say like what you did on what day, and then you can go back. And if I wanted to look for, you can search for like, if I had a bunch of these and I wanted to find out what we did for Carlson and I couldn't find Carlson, I could just search Carlson and then this shows up here and I can see everything we've done for them on their home for the last forever. Yeah, Jimmy?
So I got a question for you. When you have the auto and home, and say if you have a combination of a multi-policy, do you keep them separate or do you combine them? Or how do you segment those?
Case by case. So if it's somebody who is like especially when I was using this in the past, if it's somebody who calls in all the time with auto insurance things, I might have just a one that's just for their auto, and then they do that. But if it's somebody who's coming in for like let's say they're coming in for home auto, and I think in this one I hadn't set up quote yet, so we could make purple quotes. Okay. But like if it's somebody who's coming in with multi-line and they want it quoted, or it's somebody who's coming with that, you can leave it together. I feel like since it's more for your personal organization, it's kind of how you would find the best success in keeping those if you want them separate. Because you don't have to. This is a blank slate. You can use it however you want. You can organize it however you want. If it's somebody who has like a bunch of like 10 vehicles in the household because they're a farmer and they've got a bunch of stuff, you kept just their auto and then just their home. But if it's somebody who has one car and a renter's policy, throw it all in one thing and then you can kind of keep track of it. You can do it per task that you need done for them. Like if it's just one thing, this could be just that one time he asked about changing motorcycle. So like I do like 6:30. And the reason I do these initials is so if you ever do end up getting an assistant, you can tell who did what. It's just best practice to already have that started. And you could just have that in there, and then this would just be the task. And you could even have their first name, last name, and you can do like motorcycle. If I could spell, but up here. So that's that there's a lot of flexibility you can do, and you can assign it to yourself, to team members, all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this mimic, so I think, Jeremy, what you were alluding to is in leads and activities, there's an opportunities section, right? When you open it up, there's a tab that says opportunities. And it's very similar, but it's also a little bit more restrictive because you can't name the buckets. They're already pre-named. You can't change them, all of those things. So I think they tried to mimic that, but I don't know. I just think, I think that they're definitely going to see, okay, we have a lot of people, a lot of big teams across the country that run their whole teams off of Planner. Like they're ingrained, so getting this new Salesforce system, there's got to be a way that they're going to see, they're going to say, okay, here's how you transition all of that over. Let's hope. But what it does is if you start using a system like this, what we want to do is help all of you prepare for bringing on that team. You're envisioning your agency with, I don't know, 2 or 3 people, and they all have a certain role, and being able to already have this when you bring somebody on day one, okay, here's how we run our agency. This is what we do. Here's how I will assign tasks. Here's, so you have it all, instead of trying to create something when you bring somebody on, like create it now for yourself and get ready for that team. So thank you, Jeremy, for sharing that. I think that,
One other thing too, if you're feeling exceptionally tech savvy, you don't even have to be that tech savvy. It's pretty cool. There's a thing in Microsoft called Power Automate. It's like coding. I'm doing air quotes here because you don't really code. It like walks you through how to do it. But you can actually integrate Outlook and Planner together through Power Automate. So if you have like underwriting writebacks, if you have client activity notices, if you have these things that you want to generate tasks, you can actually set it up so that when certain subject lines or certain froms in your mailbox come in, it can actually catch that, move it to a folder in your Outlook, generate a task in Planner, and assign it to yourself or a staff member. So it's a pretty cool system.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have to refresh
Gosh.
how to do it because I haven't done it in a few years, but actually I had set that up for Eric and Allison's office
Okay.
a while back when they shared assistants. Yeah.
Gosh, that's great. So, very good. We can all use some tips to be more organized all the time. I know I can. So, all right. Who else is share success? I want to hear from all of you. What was a success from last week?
We got to go on a ride along with Chris Shocker to see how fire score was 100 and how he is a great photographer and he got it approved too. And actually, I tried it the next day and some on a client that I went out and did by myself just to take pictures and then learning that, oh, I should add this, add that. But it was just getting out there and doing it. And then I told her I might have to go back, but at least I'm going to be working on that, getting that quote out to him before I go in. And he gave me some golden nuggets to do the stuff beforehand as opposed to doing it after you write a quote and then you have to take the pictures. If you can kind of send that in, that'll save a lot of time, a little bit more work up front, but it's better for you and better for the customer too. And so it eliminates the back and forth. So that was really, really cool to see it in action.
Very good. So what tips did you have for taking pictures?
It was just camera angles and just like, and then actually his assistant America said, yeah, you want to take the top and the bottom, not just like the top section of one. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So when you see it in, it's the whole picture as opposed to just part of it, and then stepping back far enough and then trying to create as much distance from the trees because it was like literally 15 feet from the house. And I was like, whoa, but how they were limbed up and how it was maintained. And there was a lot of good learning tools that he has that was able to see it and take away some good tips. And
I was in Allison's office on Friday and her assistant came in and said, hey, the last thing before I go, we gotta make sure we take pictures of Mr. and Mrs. blah, 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 right? And it's in Sun River. And Allison was like, all right, that's gonna take me an hour and I go, hey, I'm driving right by there on the way home. I'll do it. You know, it was like a $2 million home. And, so I'm in I had hosted Tim Harris on Friday. So I'm in my wedges, and this is like on an incline and I'm like, I'm gonna break my ankle, trying to, so I must have taken, I don't know, 25 pictures because it was a huge house. So I go, okay, I gotta get this angle, these trees, it was crazy. So I'm sending them all to them and I'm like, you guys can decipher. If you need me to do anything else, let me know. But I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, I do all that. But definitely, I don't know what that wildfire score was, but I'm like, I'm not sure how we're going to insure this. So.
Yeah. Well, like at the meeting, the underwriter said, a lot of the times they get declined. It's just due to you didn't have one or two of the things that they're requiring. So always give them more than they need. Don't just do the bare minimum. Make sure you're getting every side standing 30 feet out. If a lot of times you might let it go and be like, well, it got declined. Well, actually, did you ask them why? Or I always push back because they may have just said, hey, you didn't have the interior chimney of the wood stove. You just skipped that one, or you put the same picture twice. You have to ask them and then see if it was something maybe on your end that you could have just provided. And then guess what? They're going to do it. So you won't know that if you just submit it and then get the decline.
Yeah.
Kind of on that note, actually, a couple weeks back, it was my first house that I wrote coming over. They this is why I always double check the Redfin and the Zillow pictures as well, because this client said, oh, I don't have a wood stove, all I have is I have forced heat, electric heat, and a propane heater if the power goes out. And But if you go on Redfin, there's a freestanding wood stove and a masonry chimney right there next to each other. But I was like, because it didn't actually make any requirements in the pictures, but I was like, oh, because I saw this on Redfin, I was like, also, can I go in your house and take a picture of what you did to get that out of there, just so that straight through underwriting process took like 8 hours instead of having to write back and a go to and then an exception and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, give them more than they need. I agree.
Yeah. All right, what other success, Devin? What's going on out there in Bedford?
Last week, I had two pretty high wildfire scores. Was able to get both approved. I mean, those guys the two houses that I went out and saw, they did a fantastic job with just maintaining defensible space. Their trees were properly limbed. So, I mean, and I've gone out to quite a few that just haven't got approved, or you can just tell from the get-go. So I was happy to get those. When I went to the second person's house, he had a flyer that I had sent him laying on his desk. And so I thought that was cool. It's just trying to do different ways of getting in contact with people, whether it's email, leaving voicemails, but sending that follow-up letter. And that just kind of made me smile, actually seeing that on his desk. And it was something
So Devin,
that,
unpack that process a little bit.
well, I try to do several different ways or methods of contact. I typically, for fresh leads, I'll give them a call day one. I'll send a follow-up email, and then I'll send a letter that has all my contact information on it, little information about me, a little bit of information about the company. I try not to make it too wordy because I'm selling insurance. I don't know if they're necessarily going to read a 3-paragraph letter that I send out to them, and I don't know if a letter will necessarily explain the benefits that country has to offer, the additional replacement cost to give them full understanding, or to review their policy to see if there's any gaps. So I get the 3 methods of contact out day one, and then on those specific leads, I'll follow up day 2. And then I just save the referral for my records. I mean, at that point, I have what day they were actually shopping insurance, what type of insurance they were shopping for. So I make sure to diary it out and do a contact around the same time when I know that renewal on the auto is going to hit, or when the home's going to hit. So I was excited about that. Got back from Happy Camp this weekend. There was probably 40 people there at our friend's property camping. I don't have any kids. There was like 18 kids running around, so it's a good opportunity for me to get plugged in with that network. And then came back because there was no cell service up there. And then I came back with a referral from one of my real estate agents for a fine dining establishment in Ashland named Moss, and he also has 3 other restaurants in that area. So I'll be following up with him today. And it's nice to let him know when I'm connecting with him that I insured 2 other restaurants there and 3 other boutiques. And so it'll be, and they're good people that I know will give me good referrals if he actually follows up with them. So I'm really excited about that one.
Oh, that's awesome. So fun fact that you guys don't know about Devin is that he's a stellar cornhole player. You definitely want him on your team if we're ever playing cornhole. So we were able to have a little bit of like a happy hour get together when I was in Medford last week, and we had a good turnout. I mean, it was, I don't know, you guys that were there, Nancy and Devin, I thought it was great fun, great just to interact with each other. And I think it was Trey and Andrew, Devin and Daryl were all playing cornhole. Man, it got toasty out there in the sun, playing, but we had a good time. I love doing that. I think we all need to relax and let loose and get to know each other. So I know, Devin, you're gonna take Daryl up on some joint work with Life, right?
Yeah. Staying in contact with him and see if I can get that to work. Yeah.
Very good. Well, thanks for sharing with that. And those fine dining establishments, the restaurants in Ashland, I didn't know we're really connected out in that area. So I love that. Just working at Ashland, that area, since we don't have an agent out there,
I know.
It's great.
Right. Office there, Devin, for sure.
Yeah, my only hesitancy about doing Ashland is it has like I don't know, say reputation, but I don't know if some of my Medford people would like the idea of trekking out to Ashland. It's just when I first moved here, Medford people don't like Ashland people, and Ashland people have some conflict with
This is-
Medford people.
Okay, this is
Christine,
my,
this
this is my take on Oregon versus any other state, like Washington, that I worked in a long time. I was in Tennessee and then just coming from Colorado. I've never seen where people care that much where somebody's office is, you know, and if you're not from that area, I mean, Grants Pass is very similar. Nancy's had experience with getting some assigned book from clients at Grants Pass, and they throw the biggest fit. I'm like, how are you seriously walking into this person's office every week? You know, like,
No,
oh my
they
goodness.
they don't want to do business with people who aren't from Grants Pass. Like, it's a good old boys net. Like, everyone who's from there have asked, like,
So
they're
weird.
to explain to this to me. Like, do I need to tell them I'm opening a satellite office over there, or what's the deal? Because it's not, they are not real warm and fuzzy to me.
Well,
but
here's-
I'm trying to
Here's
win
a
them over.
here's a workaround on that, and this is where, and this will show camaraderie. This will show, hey, we're all out to help each other. So I'm in Debbie Durinsky's office in Grants Pass, and she said, anytime Nancy wants to come out, and maybe she sets, I don't know, 3 or 4 appointments with clients that she has in Grants Pass, she could use my office. Like, like, she was very open to that. So, yeah.
That's really
And so
great.
definitely take her up on that, where she has a separate office where you can rent some appointments, and therefore people know, like, yeah, it's you can make it a day where you spend a day up there, and maybe that's something you do like twice a month, where you say, hey, this is my Grants Pass day. This is where I run my office out of Debbie's office. You know, those are just some ideas that, in order to squelch the hesitancy from anyone
Yeah.
from a different area. And so Devin, that might be like from you too, like, you know, think about where your opportunity is, you know.
Well, and my dad has had a lot of success. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call him a good old boy, but he writes a lot of good old boys because he's willing to do house calls. So like that's something,
Yeah.
like, he will go out and meet clients where they are. Like, if you're like, I'll drive an hour and a half to go quote your property,
Yeah.
like that, and just building and then all of a sudden you're in with their network, and then you've got like 5 people calling you for a quote. So
No, I have offered that, and as soon as I hire someone, that would absolutely
Yeah.
be wonderful.
and that's the
All
thing is,
about
I'm like,
it.
I need an assistant so bad so that I
I
can do
can't.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
'Cause right
can't.
now I'm so married to
Yeah.
the office. Yeah.
Like 6 hours a day. I mean, I
Yeah.
could see sisters might be like that a little bit too.
Very much
Just
so.
with the whole like, oh, your office is in Bend. We like to work with people and sisters. You know, like they want to do business with people who, you know, live there, work there.
Oh yeah, I get walk-ins here, like
Yeah,
just like
that's
like
cool.
walk-in quote questions and stuff like that, because they're like, oh, I want to do business with somebody who I can walk into their office when I need to talk to them. Like, that's very
Right.
much a thing out here.
Yeah.
Very good.
Hmm.
All right, Nancy, you have success for us from last week?
Well, 2 things come to mind. I think I mentioned this to you already, Christine, about networking with other agents in your area. So I had an introduction to a farmer's agent who's just right down the road. So he just has a Central Point office. And, you know, at first I was like, oh, it's not the top of my priority list. I have other things that I feel like are taking precedence. But he reached out to me first. So I told him, oh, you want to come by my office? We'll have coffee, come meet. He said, I have 28 homes being non-renewed right now out of my book. And like, I don't want to, these are my clients. Like, I want to take good care of them. I don't want to just wish them luck, or, you know, he said, I can try to go through brokerage, but it's going to be expensive. He said, I don't think I have anything for them. And these are all over the whole valley, you know, different people. And he said, I want someone who I can trust with them, who's going to take good care of them. Is this something you think you could help with, you know? And of course, I mean, there's going to be homes in Shady Cove, different areas that are going to be tough to write. But of course, you know, just those partnerships that, like, 5 years ago, if you would ask me, I wouldn't go network with a bunch of other insurance professionals. Not really. I mean, I was thinking real estate agents, lenders, like the people who I thought were lucrative. But now, like, even American Family is right across the street from me. They probably give me more referrals than anybody else. And we're neighbors. Like, but I also had known them, you know, because that's where I originally had started out working in American Family. But like, they're some of the nicest ladies, and it's not just them, it's like the people on the team, not just the agent, like who then pass your name. They don't just say call Country Financial, they say call Nancy at Country, here's her office number, you know, she's gonna take care of you, really reach out. If she could do it, she'll get it done for you and she'll get your house insured. So I think there's something to this, and we all should make the best of it right now. This may change eventually and not be as lucrative, but right now it is. You know, it really truly is. So out of, you know, just that short conversation, spend an hour with this gentleman, I already got a referral over the weekend that I need to work on now this morning. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So imagine if that's times, you know, 5 different agents, you know. It's us, it's State Farm. Really, there's not a lot of other ones doing it. I have been told USAA is doing a few of them in certain areas, but there's not a lot of other captives or even like Safeco Travelers, those kinds of carriers that are writing these. They decline them just from the location. So
Great idea.
I'm gonna work that
there's-
angle.
Yeah. If there's
That's what I
anything
did.
you all take away from today, I would say that is one that you can take that right now and put that into action, right? Whether it's being reaching out to, even if you don't know them, or you might be familiar, you know, through a networking group, reaching out and saying, I'd love to like take you to lunch and see how we can partner, you know, because I know that there's certain restrictions your company has put on you from being able to write these, and we seem more open to it, you know, that type of thing. But I would say, I know, Nancy, we had a conversation when we were talking about that last week of, you know, the hesitancy of some agents to work with other insurance agents. But I say always address the elephant in the room on the very first time that you meet with them, right? And that elephant is, are you going to steal my clients? You know, that type of thing. And that might be in your situation, that might be a hesitancy from the farmer's agent, right? This guy, like, to me, just to reach out to you to say, I want my clients taken care of. That's
Right.
the main thing. I mean, that's definitely, that's a good one, right? That's a
Right.
good agent. And
Yeah.
so it's making sure that you're having the conversation that says, look, I will never, ever quote another piece of business from that client
Right.
unless I have your permission, you know,
We
like
did
there,
talk
this
about
is,
that.
yeah, like this is not,
Absolutely.
because you gotta
But-
have that trust, you gotta have
Yeah.
that integrity, all of that, so people will trust sending people to you.
But he did say, you know, I have, you know, the best interest in this client. If he does need to move his auto to make it worthwhile, you know, to make it
Yeah.
work, to get the premium down, to do whatever you guys need to do. But then I just say, you know, just make sure that, you know, I'm not going after their commercial.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do, you know, anything else. I will do everything I can to take care of them. And hopefully I can return the favor. Maybe it's something we can't do on the commercial side, because there seems to be some things that Country can't do where you can then send a referral and then you
Exactly.
have a relationship with someone who can actually help you guys with insurance, not just, you know, you're helping his clients, but you might be able to do the same.
Yeah.
So,
And transitioning that into, I'll just say this right now, transitioning that into on the financial side, you all, like, I want you guys to tell me, have all of you filled out the referral agent form? Are you all referral agents?
so how do we check
I've-
if we did that? I might have done
Well,
it.
I will
check.
check. I will check to make sure, but especially for Jimmy and Jeremy, did you guys fill out that form?
I've filled out so many forms, I don't know if
I know.
I'm the ones or not, to be honest, like I couldn't tell you, I feel like probably not, but I don't know for
I'll
sure.
make sure, I'll write that down to follow up, because
Yeah.
that's, when you talk farmers or you talk American Family, like, there you go. Like, they're taking it the extra step and saying, hey, who's helping your clients with financial, like, do you refer those out? Like, who's doing that? It's just a question, right? They might say, well, I use this person. Great. If that person ever leaves and you need someone else, I'm there for you as a referral agent. And then you refer that out to financial advisor. All right. So there's definitely some things that on the back end, you know, spending some time with Tim Harris on Friday, there are definitely some things on the referral agent side that they are trying to implement to make it even more lucrative for you to refer people to financial advisors. All right, I'll just leave that right there, but it's some great ideas. All right, so just getting in that habit of asking that question all the time. Who's helping your clients, or who's helping you as a client? Who's helping you with your retirement planning, your financial planning? Do you have somebody you work with? It's so easy. It's really not hard, you know? And then you say, well, I have an expert financial advisor that helps all my clients. And then you pick, who is that going to be for that client, you know, out of the financial advisors. So anyway. All right, we have 5 minutes left. All right, so I want to wrap it up with some accountability. And we're not going to do this week, but it's what will come next week. So just kind of be prepared, or maybe, you know, take some notes throughout the week. But I'm going to share my desktop with you. And this is where it has been helpful so I did this with my Northern Colorado agents, and it really helped because it spurred on some competition. This is not meant to, you know, make anyone feel bad or anything like that, but that you're all in business. Like, all right, so every single week we're going to go around and we're going to say, all right, weekly success roundtable. Nancy, like, how much life premium did you get paid last week? All right, so we're going to go through all of that, and Nancy will say, well, I didn't sell any life insurance, but I have a couple in pending. So awesome. How many life appointments did you have? You know, how many PIF did you write? How many cars did you accomplish? How many referrals did you get? And then what marketing or networking activity did you do? So down here, PIF, like if you can shoot for 6 PIF per week, that's good. 3 cars per week. And, you know, if you have, I think all of you have clients, right? Either assigned or you've been here for a couple of years where you've accumulated. I think all of you have a signed book. Referrals, getting at least 5 per week should be a goal. And then every day doing something on the marketing or networking side that moves your business forward. All right. And then just sharing, this is where you share, well, here's what I did last week. I found success in this activity. So we'll just go through here and see, how that measures up. All right. So it's a little bit of sharing success, and then it's a little bit of, oh, it's salt in the wound. I didn't really have a whole lot, you know, this week. So it just, you know, it's an accountability piece. So it's not meant to make anyone feel bad, but it's meant to spur on activity.
I know if we're starting out for next week, I might not hit that for this current week, just because my office won't be open 2 days this week for the 4th, but
oh yeah, and that's, I mean, that will be like, we'll all take that in consideration, right? Like but it's just for hey, make sure you have your eyeballs on this, because all of these areas are important. The life, paying the life premium, getting the life appointments, having reviews with your clients. It's giving you pieces to focus on that, oh gosh, I'm going to have to be accountable to this, you know? And those things rise to the top, which points nothing other than moving your business forward. Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not coming in Friday. Like, that's 4th of July. So I'll probably see you. I'm going to be in La Pine, the big La Pine festivities.
I'll actually be out of town. It'll be like one of the first La Pine 4th I'll miss.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll take your place. Me and Jen will take your place. All
It's
right.
fun.
They're behind the office, the Andy Beeson office in La Pine.
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they have a big fireworks show, or what's happens in La Pine?
They have a La Pine sized fireworks show. How big La Pine is, but no, it used to be a bit more when I was a kid, because they take over the whole park that was by the public library there, and there'd be vendors and stuff, and they still do that.
That's cool.
They call it Frontier Days, and
Yeah.
there's
Sounds really fun.
yeah, there's vendors, there's food, there's usually live music. They used to have rides and stuff too, but the rides stopped coming through. So I kind of, there's part of it that I feel like especially back when the Pine was smaller and everybody knew everybody, when I was like 5 through 10, that's when it was big, like 15 years ago. But it's still fun
Well,
now.
sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, I love small towns. They're fun.
Yeah. They're going to do like a fun run. I think it's like a 5K or something. So we're like, oh, we'll do that.
Yep.
So
Cool.
anyway, we're trying to get involved. So, All right, well, I hope you guys found value in today. I think if anything, it's for hey, we're all in this together and we're all like trying to grow our agencies and, take risk and find success in that. So, we'll just do this every Monday at 9 and hopefully you have some energy, a shot in the arm for today and some focus. So, great ideas being shared. And I appreciate you all being here.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your week. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Um,